All right, folks, let's talk a bit about what to do if you're ever arrested. I have clients come in all the time. What should have I done? What should have I said? What shouldn't have I said? Is this legal? Is what the police officer did allowed? Right? So, look, what's an arrest? Let's begin with that, right? An arrest is when you are not objectively free to leave, right? When you are, as they say, in custody, right? When somebody is free to leave, they can do whatever they want, they can talk to police, they can leave the precinct, they are not under arrest, they are not in custody, right? And that's an important distinction because if somebody is in custody, if they're under arrest, constitutional rights kick in. And those rights may dictate what happens with the rest of the case, what evidence comes in, what's suppressed, so on and so forth, right? So that's why you see in Law and Order, for example, when a lawyer walks into the precinct, he will ask the detectives, is my client free to leave? When the detectives say that the client is, defense lawyer will take him out of the precinct, right? Now, look, if you are arrested, right, there's one overarching theme here. Don't be stupid, right? Don't be an idiot. And what do I mean by that? Don't cause yourself more problems, right? Of course, police officers do the wrong thing sometimes. They commit abuses and improprieties and crimes sometimes, right? But the number one rule is don't fight, right? Again, don't cause yourself more problems. If and when you're being arrested, the police officer is in charge. At that time, right, in that moment, there is nothing that you can do, right? And the last thing that you need is to upset the police officer. The last thing that you need is further charges, right? Resisting arrest, so on and so forth. So some of my clients do that. Some folks in general do that. It's not a very smart move. Again, you attack all these things. You break down your case in court later on. You don't do it in the moment because, number one, you may compromise your safety, right, which is a big deal. You may put yourself in danger. But beyond that, you may compromise your case and you may add more charges onto your case that you didn't have to add on in the first place. So that's important, right? Keep that in mind. It's important to do the smart thing at the right time. Right now, number two, keep silent, right? What you hear in movies about stuff that you say being used against you, that's not just a kind of random idea that comes from the sky. That's a real thing, right? If you say certain things, depending on the circumstances, those statements may be used against you down the line. And that's really important because while you may think you're saying the right thing, while you may be innocent, while you may have done nothing wrong, what you say may restrict what you can do further down the line, further on in the case, right? If you're in court, you don't know, no matter what you think, you don't know what the evidence of the prosecutor will be X amount of months down the line, X amount of years down the line. You don't know what the discovery will show. And you don't know what your theory of defense will be, irrespective, again, of what you think. You don't know that. And if you say things, you bind yourself, possibly, again, depending on the circumstances, to a story, to context, to a defense. And then you give your lawyer less to work with. And that's never good, right? Again, even if you're innocent, that does not mean that things you say can't hurt you, right? And there are some folks that say, well, even more than that, police officers can twist your words and turn what you say and confuse you and put you under duress. That's all true. That happens. But even if it doesn't, you don't want to bind yourself to a defense that you may not be able to use effectively down the line, right? That's a really, really big deal. Number three, ask for a lawyer. Lawyers exist for a reason, right? The Constitution provides for counsel for a reason. Use that right. Use your right to counsel, right? Again, you don't know what you don't know. And not to say that lawyers are smart or particularly educated, not all are, but a criminal lawyer will know what to do, at least in terms of the general context of a case, right? You don't want to do something that will cause problems for your lawyer down the line. The Constitution requires counsel, right? For criminal cases, requires counsel for a reason. A lawyer is a mouthpiece. A lawyer is somebody upon who you can rely, right, to make sure that your story gets across and to make sure that the evidence and the information in a case is presented in a certain way. Don't forget, an arrest is only the beginning of a case, the very beginning, right? Only after the arrest does the arraignment follow, discovery, witness disclosures, evidentiary disclosures, constitutional suppression hearings, trials, right? These things come after, and these things take weeks, months, sometimes years. And you need somebody to navigate that system. But even beyond that, once you invoke your right to counsel, you limit what the police can do to you. You limit what they can say to you. You limit what they can ask you, right? Again, the idea at that initial crucial stage of a criminal case is to create separation. You don't want to say things. You don't want to disclose things. You don't want to incriminate yourself, obviously. And you don't want to bind yourself to something that down the line may hurt you. All right. So being arrested, obviously, very, very, very uncomfortable, unpleasant. It's important to know what to do, how to act, how to conduct yourself, to not cause yourself more problems down the line.